Hi, welcome back to the Living and Learning Workshop. Today is session 5, and we'll be discussing nutrition and how it's connected to chronic pain and mood. Let's go over our agenda for today. The goal of today's session is to first review last week, session 4 of the Living and Learning Workshop focused on exercise. After a brief recap, we'll move on to new information. We'll do an overview of basic nutrition, including what's a balanced diet, what's portion control, what is a calorie and caloric density. We'll also learn how to estimate calories in foods and how to properly read a nutrition label. Let's get started. In our last workshop, we discussed the importance of exercise and some ways to build more aerobic and strength-building exercise opportunities into your schedule. Let's take a couple minutes to review. What do you remember about our group discussion last week? What are the two types of exercise, and how much should you aim to get of both? What did you take away from our discussion of exercise? Pause the video and reflect. Continue thinking back to last week's discussion. Did anything we talk about surprise you? What did you find most helpful over the past week? And do you have any personal goals of how much exercise you're now aiming for? Thanks for reflecting on last week. Let's get started with nutrition. Beyond maintaining a healthy weight, getting proper nutrition is critical to your overall physical and mental health. Most people are aware of the fact that eating a balanced diet is important. Take a moment to think about what you eat. If you had to rate your diet on a 10-point scale, from 1 being very poor to 10 excellent, what would you give yourself? Jot this number down on a piece of paper, and we'll come back to it at the end of the session. Take a moment to reflect on why you rated your diet what you did. What kinds of things do you do to make sure your diet is balanced? What kinds of things do you struggle with in maintaining a healthy diet? Are there any changes you'd like to make to your nutrition? Pause the video and reflect or discuss. People often have misconceptions about what they should or shouldn't be eating, or trick themselves into thinking that they are eating better than they actually are. Let's start our discussion from the ground up to make sure we're all thinking about nutrition in the same way. You probably remember the food pyramid that used to be recommended by the Department of Health. Things you were supposed to eat less of were at the top, such as fats and sweets. Things you were supposed to eat a moderate amount of were in the middle, like dairy and meat. And things you were supposed to eat a lot of, like vegetables and whole grains, were at the bottom. What you might not know yet is that the Department of Health recently shifted to a new system called My Healthy Plate, because they realized that the food pyramid wasn't helping people to understand what a serving of each of these categories should really look like. My Healthy Plate encourages you to eat more fruits and vegetables and less grains. It also shows you portions of different types of food you should be getting with each meal. The My Healthy Plate program encourages us to follow certain principles. These principles are balanced calories, avoiding oversized portions, and getting a good variety in the food that we eat. They recommend about half your plate being filled with fruits and veggies, a quarter with meat or protein, and a quarter of dairy, with something sweet on the side. So I'm going to briefly overview 10 tips to create a healthy plate. Number 1, balance your calories. We'll cover this more later on in today's session, but figure out how many calories you need, which depends on your age, gender, and level of physical activity. 2, enjoy your food and manage portions. Take time to eat during the day. Pay attention to your hunger cues and know when you've had enough to eat. 3, avoid oversized portions. We'll discuss this more later on. 4, eat certain foods more often. Vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and low-fat dairy products have important nutrients you need for your health. 5, make half of your plate fruits and vegetables. Choose from a variety of colors, red, orange, and dark green. 6, use fat-free or low-free dairy because you get the same calcium to strengthen your bones, but less calories and saturated fats. 7, make half of your grains whole grains. Substitute whole grain products like whole wheat bread or brown rice for white bread and white rice. 8, eat certain foods less often. Cut back on foods high in solid fats, added sugar, and salt. Foods like cake, cookies, ice cream, candies, soda, and juice should be enjoyed in moderation and not with every meal. And finally, compare sodium in foods. Use the nutrition label to find versions of your favorite foods with lower salt. Look for labels that say low sodium or no salt added. This can help you with managing your blood pressure. Soda, juice, energy drinks, and sports drinks are a major source of sugar in American diets. Choosing water or an unsweetened beverage can reduce your liquid sugar intake. That was a lot of information. Pause the video to discuss the transition away from the food pyramid into My Healthy Plate before we continue.